1210 WDAO Dayton.
Expressions is an audience participation show. The views and opinions heard on Expressions are those of the guests and callers and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff, management, or sponsors.
And a good morning to you, and welcome to another edition of Expressions. It's a Tuesday morning, and each and every Tuesday from 9 till 10, it's a special feature of Expressions, Health is Wealth. Health is Wealth is brought to you by Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. Natural Foods Plus is located at 2901 Philadelphia Drive right here in Dayton, Ohio. Natural Foods Plus is more than a health food store. Natural Foods Plus is the home of the Juice Caboose and the Better Than Good Rick Poole. Good morning, Rick Poole.
Good morning, Michael Ecton.
And how do you do, sir?
I'm doing better than good. Want to thank you for that intro. And I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in to what I'd like to call the best show on radio. As Michael says, brought to you by Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. We're located at 2901 Philadelphia, right at the corner of Philadelphia and Seamenthaler. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays 9 to 7, and Sundays 11 to 5. 7 days, approximately 13 hours a day to service you. And we thank you for being able to do that for 20 years. For when you have supported Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose, you have supported this type of programming. And we thank you. I want to open with the Lord's Prayer this morning. So if you would, please. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. There is power in prayer. There is power in prayer. And again, I want to thank you for tuning in to what I like to call the best show on radio. And sometimes we open with motivational moments, inspirational moments, prayer. And that's what it's, the opening is just inspiring. Have a wonderful show planned for you this morning. And if we need to go longer, I've checked with the CEO of this beautiful station here and the family here, and there's a possibility we can. I have a lot of information that I want to cover this morning. And I'm going to share a little bit of the outline. I'm going to do a little review of last week's show. And then today's show, I'm going to give you a brief history of what I call the biggest ripoff that we're going to ever be known. I'm going to give you a brief history on the cancer industry, when it started, how it started, why it started. I'm going to give you some information, article that I, back in 2010, medical radiation. Is it a major cause for the increase in radiation? And is medical radiation, is it a major cause for the increase of cancer? It's not genetics, it's the environment. We're going to hear a little bit about from Dr. Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief, how he talks about the importance of the environment. You know, we've been taught and we've been shared even today that genetics is major cause of all the issues that we're being confronted with. Well, we've been saying it, I've been saying it, and I had a partner that was with me for years, and I don't know where he got it, but he came up with the term that genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. We're going to learn a little bit from about the lymphatic system. And so that's basically a little bit about our outline that we're going to cover this morning. But before I go any further, I'd like to share with you What we do here on Health is Wealth is we discuss what I like to call natural, complementary, integrative approaches to health. And of course, we do it with truth and honesty. I'd like to let you know that I'm not a doctor. That these are my opinions and my beliefs. And these opinions and beliefs has basically been formed from me reading, from me studying, from me living this approach, this natural approach to health. So what I try to do here, I try to bring you some facts, figures, and opinions from some of the leading national healthcare practitioners. And I ask you to use good sense. Not common sense, but good sense. And I ask you to question. Question not only what you hear here, but please begin to question your healthcare practitioner. For as Deepak Chopra says, it is only through questioning that we can break this hypnosis of social conditioning. And believe me, we are being programmed and conditioned on so many different fronts. What we also do is we discuss what I like to call mental, spiritual, social, and what's very, very important is emotional health. Learning the importance of how the mind, the body, the spirit, and how emotions are interrelated and interconnected. The importance of learning how and what we think, how our thoughts contributes to our actions is a behavior, and when we can begin to change the behavior, when we can begin to change the habits of the masses, we can change the course of history. And so finally, I'd like to say that my mission and purpose is to be non-judgmental. I try not to criticize. I try to provide information and knowledge that, if used correctly, will not only add value to your life, but also to your loved ones. Let me say that again. I try to provide information and knowledge, and I guarantee you that if used correctly, it will not only add value to your life, but also to your loved ones. And so, and finally, I'd like to say that the information provided is intended to educate you, the listener, about certain medical and social conditions and certain possible solutions to those conditions. It is not a substitute for examination, diagnosis, and medical care provided by a licensed and qualified health professional. If you believe you, your family, or someone you know may suffer from the conditions that we discuss on this program, please see your healthcare provider. Do not attempt to treat yourself, your child, your family, or anyone else without proper medical supervision. That's our disclaimer that I like to open the show with. If you just happen to tune in, this is Rick with Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. We're located at 2901 Philadelphia, right here in Dayton, Ohio. I know we have a lot of people listening in now on the World Wide Web. And so what you're listening to Rick in Dayton, Ohio, a little small, beautiful community that's very unique, and there's something in the water here because we have so many things to be proud of and the first of. Few announcements as always. I'd like to say good morning and thank you to all the old school moms and dads, sending a lot of love out your way. Old school moms and dads paved the way for us. There's so many things that we appreciate and thank you for. Would like to give condolences to anyone who have lost a loved one. Earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. Man, we are in the final 2 weeks of our 20 years celebration. What a celebration and what a journey. 20 wonderful years, and you made it possible, because without your support this would never happen. And so I thank you, my staff, thank you, and we thank you for making it happen, and gives us the opportunity to step outside of the box and provide to you a different perspective basically on two issues that sometimes I like to talk about. One is definitely health, a different perspective from the conventional medicine, and we're going to really go into that today, and sometimes social health. If you'd like to step outside of the box, 457-1210, that's the number here, and you also can go to WDAOradio.com and click on Listen to WDAO Live. We're on the World Wide Web. I also want to take this opportunity to ask all my friends on Facebook to please like Natural Foods Plus and Rick L. Poole. I've been told, and I'm learning, that I've reached my quota and that I need to ask you to like Natural Foods Plus. I guess they don't have when you have a business, there's no limit. And many of you have asked me to post things related to health and some of my idiosyncrasies, some of the things that I do, and some of my beliefs, take it a little bit further than what I do here every Tuesday. And so if you would please make that effort to like that, and we can grow, and I will share more and more. You know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to thank everyone from last week. I got a lot of calls, a lot of responses, a lot of emails thanking me about how they appreciated the show last week. And you know what I did, I shared my beliefs about cancer. I shared quite a few modalities and different my mentors that I have followed. And you know, I had a question: are there alternatives to the conventional approach? Yes, there are. You know, the conventional approach basically uses they've been taught three things. They're going to burn you, they're going to poison you, or they're going to cut you. And so I asked you last week to be still and ask yourself, what is causing the problem? Conventional medicine addresses symptoms. They never address what causes the problem. So I shared a few statistical data. I said, did you know that in 1984, I had colon cancer, and I also lost my dad to lung cancer about 3 years before that. I saw what he went through with chemo and radiation. He had lung cancer, 225-pound person, man, human being that I loved, and I was the last one to carry him to the hospital with oxygen, and he was approximately 80 pounds, and I saw what he went through. And so in 1984, when I came down with colon cancer, I couldn't believe it. I refused chemo and radiation, but sometimes I did have surgery. Sometimes you're only as resourceful as the people that you have around you. And a very good friend of mine, a brother, we grew up together at the age of 10 all the way. He was an anesthesiologist, one of the leading anesthesiologists in the Dayton area. His wife was internist, is still today. And so those were the resources that I had around me who suggested that, Rick, go in and have surgery. I can view myself, I shared it last week, you know, at that moment, even when I was prepped and ready to go, I started to not do it. If I had to do it over today, I would not do it because of the knowledge and the information that I have. But out of the three, let me say this, out of the three, poisoning you, radiation, or surgery, out of the three, I think surgery is sometimes can be very beneficial when they go in and they take it out. So out of the three. I also shared last week that on a radio station they said, this statistic is real. when I had cancer in 1984 was 1 out of every 267 people. You see 267 people, 1 out of those people came down with cancer. Today, 1 out of every 2 men and 1 out of every 3 women is coming down with cancer. If you watched the Stiller Nation last night and those were 100,000 people there, that means there was 50,000 of them going to come down with cancer. Something is wrong with the people. Something is wrong with the picture, I should say. So I ask you to be still. I ask you to question. Question is, as Deepak says, we have to begin to question why and what's causing this. Continually to follow the conventional medicine approach is not the answer. Every 6 seconds a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. Every 6 seconds. That's 10 per minute, so this hour 600. According to the statistics. Something's wrong with the picture. When I started this radio show approximately 20 years ago, it was every 30 seconds somebody had a heart attack or a stroke. Today, every 20 seconds in America and on the continent of Canada, somebody has a heart attack or a stroke. Every 20 seconds. Something's wrong with the picture, people. Stop, be still, question. It is only through questioning that we can break this hypnosis of social conditioning, and we are being programmed and conditioned. One of the recommendations you hear all the time is mammographies, mammograms. You're going to hear later on that's one of the major causes. There's some theories out there. Is there an alternative to mammogram? I've talked about that. Yes, the mammographies. I shared with you last week some of the institutions and doctors that provide alternatives. If you want those, you can give me a call. I'm going to go right into the program because I have quite a bit of information that I want to share with you listeners today. Again, if you happen to just tune in, this is Rick with Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. We're located at 2901 Philadelphia at the corner of Philadelphia and Siebenthaler. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8, Saturdays 9 to 7, and Sundays 11 to 5. 457-1210. What I want to do now is I'm going to share with you a brief history of the cancer industry by Albert Carter. You know, he was the author of The Cancer Answer. And that was a book that, changed my belief system back in the early 80s. And his book, The Cancer Answer, I was trying to find it, and he says that we are not, I was trying to find my book here. He says that cancer is a naturally occurring condition. He also did a little research, and I'm going to share some of you with the research that he did. And this is a brief history of the cancer industry, and it goes back to 1971. And in 1971, President Nixon was president of the United States, as we know, and there was 3 people he received a visit from the 3 top oncologists in the United States. And these 3 oncologists came from Sloan Kettering Hospital, one from the Mayo Clinic, and the other one from the American Cancer Institution. And they went to see President Nixon, and they requested that the president declare war on cancer. And they asked him to give them $1.5 billion. And they said, President Nixon, he says, the amount of the money used to put a man on the moon. And they promised that if they could find a cure by 1975. And President Nixon said, well, He couldn't give them the dollars because he is only the president of the United States. And he says that you have to develop a bill and get it passed through Congress in order to get that approved. Well, one of the three oncologists had a plan. They all had a plan, and they says, no, you have executive privilege. They said you can declare war on a foreign invader, just as it was done on Japan. So they suggested to President Nixon to declare war on cancer. And so with that, President Nixon declared war on cancer, and he provided $1.5 billion. And then he turned to the American people and he says, we have declared war on cancer and we need you to participate. And the American people responded, and they matched that $1.5 billion with $1.5 billion. And so they had $3 billion. That was the catalyst to start the war on cancer in 1971. And they said that they would find a cure by 1975. $3 billion, 40-some years ago. Insurance companies got involved. They started providing major medical policies to cover the exposure to major cancer problems. Pharmaceutical companies got involved. They developed chemotherapy drugs. In the 70s, they developed over 500 drugs were submitted to the FDA for approval, for licensing by the AMA. Of the 500 drugs that were approved, 40 qualified by their definition. And so today we have a cancer industry, a $100 billion industry. Today there are more people employed by the cancer industry than there are those who are known to have cancer. This is strange. Why don't we have more people researching how to strengthen the immune system? And this is a medical fact. Cancer cannot exist in the body that has an efficient immune system. Therefore, instead of trying to attack cancer, let's figure out how to strengthen the immune system. And that's where the focus should be. A few other interesting points. Cancer is caused by a mutation of genes, of cells. Cancer is a condition, it's not a disease. We have over 75 trillion cells, and we have more than 200 different cells. Cancer is a symptom of an inefficient immune system. Is it possible to weaken the immune system? Of course. So if we begin to look at our challenges, begin to look at what's breaking down the immune system, eliminate the sugar in the pop, eliminate the antibiotics that's in the meat, eliminate the greasy food, eliminate the fluoride that's in the water and the chloride. Those are neurotoxins that for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years you've been drinking, and they know that. Amalgams, mercury. This is another cover-up. They call them amalgams, and they call it silver linings. But amalgams have 50% mercury in them. So when you look at your teeth, have you ever had a root canal? So these are some of the things that are causing the immune system to break down. Look at the cause, eliminate the cause, and then add things that's going to heal, repair, and rejuvenate. And that's why when you go to Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose, you'll be able to see a big sign on the wall there that says, this is where healing and rejuvenation begins. And it truly, truly does. Because what we have there at the Juice Caboose is whole food cellular supplements that goes down to the cellular level and that heal, repair, and rejuvenate. 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. Let me repeat that again. 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. And what do you put in your gut? Look at the things that you eat and you're drinking and consuming. For every one cell that you have in your gut, you have 10 bacteria. And they live in colonies. Trillion of bacteria. So when you eat that vegetables and fruit with the GMOs, genetically modified, engineered food, when you have food with that the cows and the chickens and the pig has been given antibiotics and hormones to make them grow fast, and you eat that, and then you drink the water with the fluoride, which are neurotoxins, and then you put mercury fillings in your teeth, and then we stop and we think, what's causing the problem? Those are the things that are causing the problem, and you must stop and eliminate those things. A book that changed my life 4 years ago is called Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant. A little lady came into the store 4 years ago challenging me and said, son, would you like to read a book? I said, yes, ma'am. She went and got this book called Healing is Voltage. She said, I'll be back in 30 days. I read the book, and the book was so fascinating by Dr. Tennant. Dr. Tennant is a leading ophthalmologist, was a leading ophthalmologist in the country. Graduated from high school at the age of 15, went to med school, came out, ophthalmologist, one of the first ophthalmologist eye doctors to put intraocular lenses after cataract. He was one of the first in his research teams to do LASIK surgery. When he was doing all of that, he got encephalitis, which is viruses on the brain. He was sick for 7 years, went to the best doctors in the world, and they said, you're going to die. Well, the book was so fascinating, I flew down, became a patient of his, and in his book, he says, we are constantly wearing out our cells, and we have to replace them. He says we get new cones in our retina and replace the lining of our gut every 2 to 3 days. He says we replace our skin every 6 weeks. We replace our liver every 8 weeks. Chronic disease occurs when we lose our ability to make new cells. Please stay tuned. We're going to go into, when we return, the second half of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Michael.
Thank you, sir. DAO, as I said before, each and every Tuesday, 9 to 10, it's a special feature of Expressions Health is Wealth, brought to you by Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. And with that said, we're going to go right back to Rick Poole.
Alrighty there. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Oh, I love it. As Michael says, you're listening to Rick with Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. We're located at 2901 Philadelphia Drive, right here in Dayton, Ohio, world. And we have a very unique store there. Been there 20 years, and my whole mission and purpose is to add value to people's lives with education and information. And so that's what this show is about, asking you to be still and asking you to question. As Deepak says, it is only through questioning that we can break this hypnosis of social conditioning. And wow, we're being programmed and conditioned. I want to share with you now, and we're going to start this back up again. You know, I had an e-magazine. I had a monthly newsletter that came out over the web, and back in 2010, in 2009, I did a lot of research and reading different articles. I had noticed a trend, and so I want you to ask yourself, I'm going to share some articles with you, and the question is, medical radiation, is it a major cause for the increase of cancer? And this past year, I accumulated the following news articles. In June 2009, New York Times reported that a Philadelphia hospital gave the wrong radiation dose to more than 90 patients with prostate cancer and then kept quiet about it. In Florida, a hospital disclosed that 77 brain cancer patients had received 50% more radiation than prescribed because one of the most powerful and supposedly precise linear accelerators had been programmed incorrectly for nearly a year. And in October 2009, New York Times, there was an inquiry that looked at an overdose of radiation. California public health officials are investigating medical errors at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. in which 206 patients were exposed to high doses of radiation doing CT brain scans. Hospitals officials said patients got 8 times the regular dose of radiation doing CT scans, and that the problem went undetected for 18 months. Here's another article in November 2009, U.S. News World Report, the Associated Press. A government expert panel. Routine mammograms before the age of 50, not much use. This is an article, U.S. News. There are more and more U.S. doctors in European facilities warning of health risks of too many mammograms. Another article, December the 8th, 2009, Wall Street Journal. FDA probes the radiation at hospitals. I guess everything that was beginning to happen in the early, from June and so forth. So the FDA probes radiation at hospitals. The Associated Press, it says the federal health regulators are investigating reports of dangerous radiation levels at 2 more California hospitals following earlier unsafe medical scans at LA facilities. The FDA is probing the use of CT scans at Glendale at Adventist Medical Center and the Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank, California. The brain scans are used to diagnose strokes. FDA officials said they are investigating at least 10 reports of excessive radiation at Glendale and an unspecified number of problems at St. Joseph. The risk from a single CT scan is small, but overexposure can increase the risk of cancer. The average American total radiation exposure has nearly doubled since 1980, largely because of the CT scans, according to recent studies. Now I want you to check this out. This is an article, December the 15th, Wall Street Journal. CT scans is linked to cancer. CT scans could cause cancer. Overuse of CT scans may cause tens of thousands of new cancers and many deaths. 2 separate studies by the University of California, San Francisco, and the National Cancer Institute found. Researchers said that each year the current diagnostic scanners are used. 14,500 deaths could occur. Also, they expect 29,000 future cancers to be directly attributed to CT scans performed in 2007. It says in the past 2 decades, the use of diagnostic CT scans rose to 70 million. A decade ago, there was only 3 million. So they are doing 70 million more. They are doing 67 million more scans today. A normal chest CT scan is equivalent to about 100 chest x-rays. But some scanners in hospitals give off enough radiation for more than 400 conventional x-rays. So what they're beginning to find is hospitals are giving a lot more CT scans, and there's some theories out there to think that they are major causes for the increase in cancer that we are seeing. I have a couple more here, but I got a caller on the line. I'm going to go to the caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You have a question, comment? Okay, thank you for calling 457-1210 if you have a question or comment. This is Rick with Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. Every Tuesday morning at 9 we bring you Health is Wealth, and what I'm sharing with you today, the month of October is Cancer Awareness Month, and so we are focusing in on cancer. And what I'm trying to share with you is a different perspective. I'm asking you to stop, be still, and question why we're seeing such an increase. Why the normal population today is being programmed and think that cancer is normal. And it shouldn't be, because it is not normal. Another article, January the 24th, 2010, New York, front page. A life-saving tool turned deadly. Radiation offers powerful new cures and ways to do harm. Okay, listen to this. As Scott Jerome Parks, 43, lay dying, he clung to this wish that his fatal radiation overdose, which left him deaf, struggling to see, unable to swallow, burned, with his teeth falling out, with ulcers in his mouth and throat, nauseated, in severe pain, and finally unable to breathe. His wish is to be studied and talked about publicly so that others might not have to live his nightmare. Sensing death was near, Mr. Jerome Parks summoned his family for a final Christmas. The article went on to say that a New York City hospital treating him for tongue cancer had failed to detect a computer error that had directed a linear acceleration to blast his brain stem and neck with errant beams of radiation, not once but on 3 consecutive days. So what I'm sharing with you is, and what's interesting is that, I'm going to go down here to the bottom. It says, identifying radiation injuries can be difficult. Identifying radiation injuries can be difficult. Organ damage and radiation-induced cancer might not surface for years. See, when you get radiation, it may not surface for years, the damage that it has done. While underdosing is difficult to detect because there is no injury, for those reasons, radiation mishaps seldom results in lawsuits. And lawsuits is a barometer of potentially identifying problems within the industry. We got a couple calls. We're going to go to the phone, and when we come back, I want to share with you Dr. Bruce Lipton. But before we go there, good morning, callers. Question or comment?
I have a question.
Okay.
You said you read this book. Can you give me the name of the book again?
Which one? Quite a few.
Well, it was, I guess it was about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a book that helped, you said some woman, a doctor told you to read it.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant.
Okay.
Yeah, Healing is Voltage. We're the only health food store that has it at the store, at Natural Foods Plus. Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant. He's a ophthalmologist. He's located in Dallas. The book was so fascinating. I flew down. I became a patient of his 4 or 5 years ago. I'm a patient of his today. I've been to his seminars. He's changing conventional medicine. His approach. Unbelievable book. Any other questions or comment?
No, that was it, because I'm trying to get into more eating foods as medicine. And so I wanted to read the book because I try to eat more fruits and vegetables and trying to stay away from a lot of meat.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your call. Good morning, caller. Question or comment?
Okay. Hello?
Hi, good morning. Question or comment?
Yes. A couple months ago on your show, you talked about a lady from someplace had something good for pain. And I was wondering, do you still have that in your business?
Yes, ma'am. I sure do, and I'm pretty sure we've been talking about that for probably the last 2 or 3 months. It's Curamin and Curamed. It's from Europharma. We've had, matter of fact, we had a representative on last week. Yes, ma'am, we do have it. It's an unbelievable. Curamin is the active ingredient inside of turmeric, and turmeric is an herb. And so what CureMed did is CureMed and then CureMed. CureMed, you're a farmer, the company that actually produces this, they have CureMed, which they have a patented process where they can, the dosage of the CureMed is much more greater and intense than the CureMed, and that's leading, there's a lot of clinical studies and research is showing the benefits of this. Any other questions? You want to come to Natural Foods Plus? We'd be more than we may have some samples of that still around too. They go very quickly, but as soon as you walk into the door at Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose, we have an end cap there where you can find all of their products. And so thank you for the call. Good morning, caller. Question or comment?
Question.
Okay.
Sir, I'd like to know, is there anything over that Natural Food Plus store? I have a severe nerve damage.
Severe?
Anything I could get over there? Or,
severe nerve damage?
Yeah.
Yes, it's, that's man.
Maybe I had some when I have Crohn's disease.
Well, there's definitely things that you can do for the Crohn's. When you get to severe nerve damage is a lot more difficult. But Crohn's, believe me, and it's all about a program. It's not one thing. And so if you want to come in, I'll sit down with you and we can look at your lifestyle. Look at the things that cause that. You have Crohn's disease. Do you know what caused Crohn's?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I know. I love Cleveland. I just left Cleveland Clinic, and I got to go back. I thought maybe some vitamins or something I could take.
Oh, absolutely. There's things, but there's more than just. What's your first name?
My name is Obi Williams.
Okay, Obi. There's a couple.
Right.
There's a couple things, Obi. I want you to come and see me, man. We'll talk about a program. There's not one thing that I would recommend, but it would be it's a holistic approach. There's many things. We look at the water. We look at the food. We look at what you're currently taking in terms of medication. But the biggest thing, Obi, that I want to say, with your call, and I want to thank you for calling, is that you've been to Cleveland Clinic. You got these.
I just left there Saturday.
Okay, but what's interesting is that, and not only you, but we as a society and we as people fail to ask, and we're afraid to ask the doctors, hey, doc, what caused Crohn's disease? See, the first thing they're going to do, they identify Crohn's disease has symptoms. And so their training is one thing. They're going to, look at the symptoms. Okay, my only recommendation is let's address the symptoms. Holistic approach, those 8 or 9 institutions that I follow, they're going to address, well, let's look at what caused this, because you didn't have it all your life. There had to be something that caused that. And so again, I want to thank you for your call. Before I go to Dr. Lipton, there's another book, Secrets of the Lymphatic System. Oh man, again, information that changed my perspective. The lymphatic system is something that's located all over your body. The lymphatic system is where your lymphocytes are located. And you have anywhere from 600 to 800 lymph nodes all over your body. And there's no pump in the lymphatic system. That's why exercise is so very, very important. And so if you passed the store last night, you may have seen me working out last night in front of the store. I was on a rebounder. I've been doing rebounding for the last 30 years. There was a book called The Cancer Answer. And in this book, it told me about rebounding by Albert Carter. And what you do when you rebound, that's the pump. And so you're stimulating the lymph nodes and you're stimulating the lymphatic system. Well, anyway, in the book, Secrets of the Lymphatic System, it's really interesting. There's 2 things. On page 13, it says the medical system changed. Listen to this. Until the 1950s, doctors and nurses were taught about the lymphatic system. Since then, Western medical professions have removed all but the most superficial information about the lymphatic system from their studies. Ask a doctor. They only have a few courses on the lymphatic system. It's just like nutrition. You ask a doctor, how many courses have you had in nutrition? 1 or 2 or 3. They've been in school 9 years. So until the 1950s, they used to teach about the lymphatic system. But then Western medical profession removed it. They do teach that it is part of the body's immune function. This is true. It says, however, the most important and life-affirming information is ignored. And it says these vital teachings remain hidden in medical books of the early 1900s. Chemical medicine, that's allopathic. Listen to this. Chemical medicine, allopathic, came into being in the early 1950s. This is where the pharmaceuticals got in, people. The most treacherous organizations that I know of. So they changed the medical books. So when you talk to a doctor today and they say, I wasn't taught that. No, you weren't taught it because they took it out. Influenced by the medical, by the pharmaceutical. Chemical medicine, allopathic, came into being in the early 1950s when medical schools changed from a plant-based to a chemical-based system, and the lymphatic system was no longer taught in its entirety. The pharmaceutical companies had and have to this day great influence over the curriculum in medical schools. Therefore, in-depth information about the lymphatic system is rarely seen. Who's programming the programmer? Who's programming the programmer? I'm telling you. When you look at the Cancer Society today, $50 billion, $80 billion in 1970, and they still say, give me money. We're going to find a cure in 5 years, and still today, the people that I follow, the institutions that I follow, there will never be a cure for cancer. Cancer is a naturally occurring condition. Everybody out there has cancer cells. It's when your immune system becomes inefficient and can't fight off the cancer cells. So when you begin to change your mindset and understand and then step up and take responsibility and says, okay, yes, I can. And it comes back to your beliefs. And I want to share with you what Dr. Thomas said, the author of this book, says about beliefs. One second, ma'am. She says that dying is an unnatural occurrence, and we only make it so by believing in it. She said the Dead Sea Scrolls attest to this as well. What we believe becomes the experience of the believer. We always experience what we believe is true. That's a universal law. And you have told me, when I leave, when I close, I talk about your belief system. It's so very, very important. I've said it many, many times. Your beliefs will cause you to create or attract situations and or events that you experience as your life. Your beliefs are thoughts. Good morning, caller. I got 2 callers on our line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, I lost you a few minutes ago. I was asking about back pain. Would this medicine help the back pain?
Yes, ma'am. It definitely would, and there's a lot of research there. Also, what's your first name, ma'am?
Ada Brown.
Okay, Miss Ada. Yes, and then we also have something else at Natural Foods Plus. This is an amazing product. Again, I want to say we're the first one to bring it in. It's called Baxil. And Baxil is hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid is something that's within the bones, tendons, and ligaments. As we get older, it's depleted. And so it's guaranteed. Again, you can use all of Baxil, and if it doesn't work, they will give your money back. And the same thing is with Curamin. If it doesn't work, they give your money back. Dr. Brown is recommending it. We have many doctors now. This is beginning. There's clinical studies that's showing. And, man, Dr. Brown has shared the knowledge that, the FDA is, there's putting certain restrictions on over-the-counter drugs. And so they're looking for natural alternatives. And so I would highly recommend Baxo or either Curemin or CureMed. Thank you, Ms. Brown, for your call.
All right, thank you.
Okay, lots of calls this morning, and so we're gonna extend this. We're gonna take it another half hour, and when it comes time, we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, I'm going to share with you, Dr. Lipton, biology of belief, unbelievable. We're going to share some of that, and do I have another caller, Michael? Good morning, caller.
Good morning. This is Geraldine Williams.
Okay, Miss Williams.
And I am calling because I have MS. And, right now I am suffering. I'm really suffering. And I don't know what it is. I have taken since I was in the nursing home a lot of pills. And over the years, umpteen years, the pills didn't do anything for me but set my stomach like a cement. So one day I woke up and I said, well, I'm going to forget about it all. It's in God's hands. And I had high cholesterol. I had sugar diabetes. I had arthritis, in which I still have. And I had high blood pressure. I'm taking all these drugs. So I did wake up one day, and I said, forget it. I'm putting it in God's hands. So right now, I don't take any drugs, anything.
Wow.
But I wonder, what can I do for things that are going on in my body now? I'm kind of bedridden right now.
Wow. Ms. Williams, first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for calling in, and you touched my heart, you touched my spirit. The fact that you have MS, people that know me, people that know Spunkies. Spunkies was a nephew of mine that had MS, and what I know today, man, he would still be around. MS is Dr. Tennant, the book that I just mentioned to you, Healing is Voltage. His success with MS patients is unbelievable. But again, Ms. Williams, it's a program. It's not one thing that I could recommend. Man, the fact that you shared, when we look at what you've been through, high cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure, and MS, and it's one drug after another drug after another drug, and man, I feel your pain. And those drugs lead to other issues, and I call it the perpetual cycle of pain and misery. And it is just so unfortunate that conventional medicine is not teaching people how to get off that perpetual cycle. They're getting people more and more on it. So, man, if there's any way that you can come by the store, Miss Williams, I would love to share some things with you. Thank you for calling in. Listeners, I want to thank all the callers for calling in this morning. And, man, I love this station here. I love the CEO. We're going to extend this. We're going to extend it another half hour. And so we're going to take a short pause for the cause, and please stay tuned.
AM 1210 WDAO. We're going to pause on WDAO, and this morning it's an extended version of Health is Wealth, brought to you by Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. Rick Poole, we'll send it back to you.
All righty. I love it. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Tuning in to what I like to call the best show on radio, and you make it happen. Because when you support Natural Foods Plus, you support this type of programming, and you've been supporting us for 20 years, and we love it, and we'd love to be able to come here to give you a different perspective and a different viewpoint than conventional medicine. And before I bring on the Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, I got a couple articles here that I want to share. There's sometimes I share news that you can use. And I don't know whether or not you all have seen this, but this comes from, I got an email that says Sacramento, Senate Bill 27 is now law of the land in California. The California Governor Jerry Brown signed legislation that restricts the use of antibiotics in animals' produce for food. The bill goes into effect in 2018. That's 3 years from now. But 3 or 4 weeks ago we talked about. So when I listen to Mrs. Williams, when I listen to OB, when I listen to, the callers that have chronic metabolic issues, and I've asked you to ask yourself, what caused the problem? When we look at obesity today, and you look around and there's so many people, and so many of you all is trying, and you're exercising and you're trying, and then you're saying, why is this happening? And it's happening because of the pharmaceutical company. It's because of the capitalists. I call them the parasitical elite. They know that pop and sugar, major causes of obesity. Diet pop is one of the most detrimental substances that you can take, and it's causing obesity. But the industry says that it's not. It's because you lack of exercising. So sugar, fructose, and I started at the beginning of the year telling you about the dangers of sugar. And so when you look back and you want to make some changes, start with sugar. Read the labels. They put sugar in everything. And sugar is a major cause of inflammation. Inflammation is a major cause of the chronic metabolic issues that you're dealing with. Water. Fluoride. There's been 100 and some communities that have voted to take fluoride and chloride out of their systems. Fluoride is a neurotoxin. And just recently, the government said that, they may have been putting too much fluoride in the water. Fluoride, a cause of ADHD. It's real, people. And then antibiotics. The legislation comes in response to growing concerns about antibiotic-resistant infections. The Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that antibiotic resistance in foodborne pathogens is an ongoing threat to public health, causing an estimated 440,000 illnesses in the United States each year. And we talked about that. I've shared that with you 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I talked about there's 24 fast food that gives that has antibiotics in the food. So they give the cows and the chickens and the pigs antibiotics. They give them hormones to make them grow fast. Because why? Because we live in the best country there is. This is a capitalistic country, and they don't care nothing but about the dollar bill. So how fast can I grow that cow, grow that pig, give that chicken hormones and this, and then you eat the hormones in the chicken, and you're drinking the water, and you got mercury amalgams, and you're drinking pop, and you're smoking, then you're wondering why. Why I have diabetes, why I got high blood pressure, why I got cancer. Comes back to the environment. It comes back to your environment. So once you be still and says, okay, hey, there's 2 fast foods that we don't even have in our community. I visit these places twice a week almost when I'm fast and I can't go. I go to one place, man, what do I get? You know, they have pinto beans, they have brown rice, they have guacamole. But I find it interesting. You can't find it here in our community. Another place I go, you know, these two places they mentioned in the article are conscious about the non-GMO, and they're conscious about the meat that they have because their cows and their chicken are not given hormones. Interesting. News that you can use. One other article. This was just a couple of days ago. Judge ends oversight in Amish girls' chemo fight. This article here is where the state told this family, the little girl was 10 years old, came down with leukemia, didn't want to, they were doing chemotherapy, decided to stop doing chemotherapy, and the hospital says, no, you got to do chemotherapy, went to court, and the court says, no, you got to do chemotherapy. And the parent says no. And the parents took the kid and left. And they went to Mexico. Check out the article. A judge formally ended the court-ordered garderingship of an Amish girl who resisted a hospital attempt. The hospital attempted to force her to resume chemotherapy, bringing a close to the fight that raised questions about the rights of parents in making medical decisions for their children. The judge's decision announced Friday came more than a year after the little girl guardian gave up her efforts to force the girl into chemotherapy for her leukemia. Sarah was her name, and her parents went into hiding in the fall of 2013. Sarah is now 12 years old, and she no longer shows signs of being sick. He goes on and says, a visit to her home in August found that Sarah was active and working daily on the family farm. She appeared healthy and appropriately developed. But the court said that she is not fully recovered and warned that they still have a duty to provide her care under Ohio law. Her parents are not free to act entirely as they may choose, the judge said. Sarah's good health bolsters the case against forced health care that we are supposedly cannot live without. So that's where we're going, people. Forced health care. They're going to force you. You work for the hospital, they're going to force you to get that flu shot. You come to the hospital and you want to you got cancer and you're taking chemo and you decide you don't want to take chemo, the court going to force you to take chemo. The court fight began in the summer of 2013 when Sarah's parents decided to halt the treatment because they feared chemotherapy was killing her. Doctors at an Akron Children's Hospital said Sarah's condition was treatable, but they argued she would die within a year if they stopped the chemotherapy. The hospital went to court after the family decided to treat Sarah with natural medicines, such as herbs and vitamins. It goes on and says that like most, the family says that they decided to stop chemo, not for religious reasons, but because it was making Sarah too sick. Hospital officials said that they were listen to this, hospital officials said they were morally and legally obligated to make sure the girl received proper care. That's the standard of care that a doctor has to, when you become a doctor, you have to sign a form to say standard of care. You have to follow this. And the state laws now say that state laws give parents a great deal of freedom when it comes to choosing medical treatment for their children, but not always when the decision could be a matter of life or death. So the state and the hospital says that chemotherapy is the way to go. Got a caller.
Just a comment.
Okay.
How you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing wonderful. Who's calling, please?
How you doing, Michael Hector?
I'm good.
Hey, did you hear what Tom Brady, New England quarterback, said about the sugar and the breakfast cereal? It's on, if Michael Eckman ain't too busy, Mike can look up the exact quote. Did you hear what he said, Rick?
No, I did.
Yeah, it's strange you'd be talking about this subject, but he got something to say about exactly what you was talking about right now. Mike might want to look it up.
Okay.
Okay, take it easy.
Hey, I appreciate you calling. I'm not, but I will. Tom Brady. You know,
And man, more and more and more people. Man, I love this program. I love what we do. I love, there's young people, there's young and old, and man, coming to the store. And we're excited at Natural Foods Plus, and we're seeing them. They're coming, they're asking questions, and you all are stepping up. But then sometimes when I step outside of the store and I look at the big picture, and you look at the news and you look at read the paper, and it can become, you can give up hope. And so don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. We are on the move, and we are making a change. I'm going to share with you now. This book, this also changed my life. This is The New Biology, How Your Beliefs Shape Your Health and Your Destiny. How your beliefs shape your health and your destiny. Check out this by Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton is an internationally recognized cellular biologist. He taught cell biology at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, and later he performed groundbreaking studies at Stanford University, at the School of Medicine. His pioneering research on cell membrane in 1977. He's a leader in the new science of epigenetics. And this new science, people, it's not genetics, it's the environment. Yes, genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Conventional medicine is telling you it's genetics. I got another article here in the Dayton Daily News where a lady, breast cancer. Man, it hurt me. I almost brought tears to my eyes, and there's so many today. When you believe in conventional medicine, and they go in and they say it's genetics. And she had a lumpectomy. They removed the lump, and then they removed the breast, and then they said no, they gave her an option. Because her mom and because her grandmom had cancer, then she had a double mastectomy. Please do your research. Please go to and call 8 of those institutions that I follow. Thousands and thousands every day are overcoming cancer. It's the environment. So, Michael, if you will, we're going to listen to this is a CD, and it's CD 2, and he talks about the environment. It's about 5 minutes. The fetal environment. He's talking about a lady that's the women that are pregnant, and what the kid is going through. So if you would, Michael, please.
Yeah, but as I said, when did we start getting these perceptions that constitute our subconscious experiences? And the answer is we started in utero. That as we were developing as a group of cells forming the fetus started responding to environmental information as any living organism does. Every cell responds to the environment. Every community of cells responds to the environment. So the fetus is responding to the environment. But then you might ask, well, what environment does the fetus respond to? Of course, the mother's environment, because it's in utero. It's encased in a placenta inside the mother. And so the fetus doesn't have a direct access to the external world, the environment of the outside, to know what's going on. And yet nature deemed the environment very relevant in controlling genes and behavior. So in that regard, it's very interesting that nature provides information of that environment to the developing fetus for a simple reason. The fetus, having information of the environment that the mother experiences, can adjust its biology, its behavior, and its genes to fit the environment that the mother experiences. And the reason why this is necessary is because when that baby is born, it's going to live in the same environment that the mother experiences. So in the process, the baby is picking up information about the environment via the mother. Now how this occurs is the placenta. Well, conventional OBGYNs consider the role of the mother in the development of the child as nothing more than the person who nourishes the fetus, and that's why they really restrict their information about a mother's contribution to a developing child to questions of, well, are you eating well? Are you taking vitamins and minerals? Are you exercising? All these questions are really just asking, are you providing the proper nutrition to this fetus? And the reason why the questions are so limited to the nutrition is that the conventional belief of modern science is genetic determinism, as I mentioned before. And since the fetus is a conceptus comprised...
What did he just say? Modern science, conventional medicine, their belief is genetic. Michael, go ahead, please. Thank you.
...of the genes of the mother and the father, we all have felt that the genes control development. And as a result, the role of the mother is really nothing more than to provide the nutrition. All the rest of it would be genetically determined. But as we're beginning to find out, that belief system is totally flawed. That the genes, in fact, are...
That belief system is totally flawed. That belief system is totally flawed. Genetics. This man started studying genetics at the age of 7. Cellular biology, epigenetics is a whole new study out there. But you got those, you have some doctors, that white coat syndrome, who don't want to read, who don't want to accept unbelievable. Continue, Michael, please.
...really responsive to the environmental situations. That now, then we understand that, then we go back to the mother's situation and we say, is the mother just providing nutrition? Well, that question could be easily answered by asking this question. Is nutrition the only thing that's carried in the mother's blood? And the answer, of course, is no. In the mother's blood are chemicals that relate to emotion. In the mother's blood are molecules that relate to control and regulation, the hormones. And why is this relevant? Because at the placenta, yes, nutrition is passed from the mother's blood to the fetus, but we also now recognize at the same time so is information. The chemicals of emotion are passed, the hormones regulating physiology are passed through the placenta and affect the child as well. And it's interesting because they have the same targets in the fetus as these chemicals have in the mother. So if the mother is feeling anger, the emotional chemistry of anger crosses the placenta, so does the child feel anger. If the mother is feeling apprehensive, the child is feeling apprehensive. And all of a sudden we start to find there's a direct connection between the mother's experiences or perceptions of her world and the experiences and perceptions that are downloaded into the fetus. Again, this becomes very important in changing the status of the fetus, this pre-knowledge of the world before the fetus enters the real world. I refer to this as the mother, in this case, as being nature's Head Start program because it's giving information about the environment to the fetus. The mother is not alone in this process by any means. The father forms a dynamic duo because it is actually the relationship between the mother and the father. That information is really what's shared with the fetus. So if the father messes up, that changes the mother's perceptions and her emotions and attitudes, which then impacts the child. So we should be very aware of this, that we started to get a lot of information about the environment even before we were born. Many of us started to get downloads of information that we weren't even wanted, for example. If the child was derived from a pregnancy that was not expected or planned, and the parents feel, oh my goodness, how can we support this child? Already the child, through the emotions of the mother and the chemistry of her physiology, is already gathering that information as well. We are not born a blank slate. We were already born with programs established for us. That, for example, a father can talk through the abdominal wall of a mother carrying a fetus. And as the fetus starts to hear the father, if the father repeats this pattern, then when the baby is born, and the father opens his mouth, as soon as the father said a word, the baby knows exactly which one the father is. It already downloaded that information. People even play music to a developing fetus and recognize that when the baby is born, it will respond to the specific music that was played at that time.
Listen to that. If you happen to just tune in, people, we're listening to a tape by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's an authority on cellular biology. The biology of belief, and he talks about the fetal environment of a mother carrying a kid. So I ask you, think about our community and our environment and where we are in every urban community. The experiences that the mother is having, the same experiences that the child is having. Look at what's programmed and downloaded into the mother. So for years I've been saying, get the garbage out. Look at the music, look at the movies, look at what you've been downloaded. And so we ask ourselves, why are we in the condition that we're in today? We're being programmed for failure. We're being programmed for failure. As he just said, when the mother is carrying the kid, and when the father is there, and when the baby is born, if the connection is there, the environment, the baby knows just by hearing the father, and then also with music. And so I ask you, look at the music, listen to what we are experiencing. And we look at the condition that we are in every urban community. Substantiates what I've been saying for the last 20 years. That's why I got out of the nightclub business. Because what I saw and what I experienced, I've been saying it for 20 years. We got to get the garbage out. It's killing us. Continue, Michael. I think we got about a minute to go.
So the interesting thing is this, that the mother's perception of the environment influences the development and behavior of the fetus even before it's born. In fact, it can profoundly change the physiological character of the fetus for this reason. Consider the possibility that the mother is under stress, and then realize that the stress hormones that are going through the mother's biology and affecting her physiology cross the placenta and have the same impact on the child. And when we take that into consideration, remember the fact that was also stated, that blood carries nourishment, that in the development of a fetus, the more blood a tissue gets, the more it will develop. It's directly proportional. So now let's take the scenario that a woman is carrying a child and she lives in a stressful environment. And what do we find? Well, number one, the stress hormones cause her visceral blood vessels to constrict and force the blood to the periphery. Number two,
you know, I want to thank, again, if you happen to just tune in, this is Rick with Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. I want to thank all the callers for calling in today. You know, it's been a wonderful program. I think this is probably one of the best programs that I've done. I'm waiting for your feedback. I feel good about it. And again, what's my mission and purpose is to educate and to inform. I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in and listening. I want to thank all the listeners that called in with questions. And again, I challenge you. I challenge you to become responsible for your own health. It is so very, very important that we have to step outside of the box, and we have to become responsible for our own health, and we have to question. We have to question. Again, we have about, what do we have, about 2 minutes before we end the show. And again, just for hindsight, if you have any questions and further, Natural Foods Plus, we're located at 2901 Philadelphia. If you'd like more information regarding what I've covered today, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot that I've covered, and I hope that it's been worthwhile, giving you a different point of view and a different perspective. Next week, we will have another guest. We're going to continue to talk about the month of October is Cancer Awareness Month. And so next week I will bring another special guest. I will bring a guest on next week. And we're going to continue to focus in on cancer. I want to thank all of you all for making it happen. 20 wonderful years at Natural Foods Plus, and for supporting us. I would ask you to call, but we got about 1 minute left. And so again, If you've never been to Natural Foods Plus, you can come to Juice Caboose. We call it the Juice Caboose because it's located at the back of the store. And that's where you find healing and rejuvenation. That's where you find our famous Emerald Treasure. Emerald Treasure is a famous smoothie that we put together, and it's a meal. It has every known vitamin, mineral, and trace mineral. So please come to Natural Foods Plus and the Juice Caboose. That's where healing and rejuvenation begins, right there at the Juice Caboose. And not only do we have the Emerald Treasure, but we have wheatgrass. We have Brain On, E3 Live. These are some of the whole food cellular supplements. We have fermented vegetables. And so again, I want to thank you for tuning in to what I call the best show on radio, and I want to ask you to keep on, keep it on. I want to ask you to stay positive, think positive. Surround yourself with positive, principle-centered people. Look, listen, and read positive things. Talk to yourself in the positive. Develop your plan, work your plan, believe, and it will happen. Hey, thank you very much for joining us this morning.